Please take our audience survey. It'll help us provide programs and offerings you're most interested in. You'll find survey links on our blog page at martialarts.thepodcastnetwork.com. Also, look for a special offer later in this show. Hello, I'm Scott Combs. Welcome to Martial Arts Explorer, where we explore practical self-defense techniques as derived from classical martial arts of all styles. A quick hi to some of our new subscribers from Taiwan, New Zealand, and Spain. Thanks for watching, folks. We're glad you're here. Gun defenses can be controversial, and a technique that might work in one circumstance won't work in another. There are a number of choices to make when facing a gun. The first question to ask yourself is, do I think this guy will shoot even if I comply with his demands? If the answer is yes, you've got little to lose. Remember, action beats reaction, but you can't give the attacker any sign that you're contemplating something. You can't add extra motion to the technique. Everything must be smooth, uncomplicated, and quick. Extra motion will only slow you down and notify your attacker that you're taking action. On the other hand, if you think the attacker will leave you alone if you comply with his demands, give him what he wants. You can get another credit card or whatever. You are somewhat more difficult to replace, and the world, not to mention your family and loved ones, are worse off without you here. All caveats being made, Michael has a technique that's quick and efficient.
Thanks, Scott. Hello, everyone. We're going to try something a little different tonight. We're going to take a look at gun defenses. It's not something we do a whole lot of, but it's something that's very important to practice. One thing to note, when we practice, we use guns that are actually fairly realistic. We use an H&K model in this type. We have a lot of other models. They feel real, they look real, they're about the right weight. Just different things to keep in mind when you're practicing instead of using a plain wooden gun. Sometimes it's nice to have something that people can try out and feel so they know what it's going to look like, they know what it's going to feel like when they put it in their hands and what to do with it. We talk a lot about little important safety issues when we work with a class like this. One, indexing, meaning putting your finger along the side of the weapon, not keeping your finger in the trigger, especially after the defense. Once you perform it, you've gained control of the weapon. You do not want to accidentally shoot somebody by putting your finger into the trigger position and then pulling it because you're excited, you're nervous, your adrenaline's rushing, something like that. Remember, under adrenal response, your hands will start to grip and close, and if your trigger's in the way, it might just go off accidentally. So we index along the side. We also practice as if this were a real gun. And the drill starts off, I'm always aware of where the barrel is pointed. I know if it's pointed at me or if it's pointed at someone next to me, because as I perform this, it doesn't do me any good to do a disarm where the gun's wiggling in front of my face the whole time. I'm going to get shot. Action beats reaction. That's what we count on. We're going to move quick and we're going to move fast and we're going to do this disarm, but I have to know what's going on and what's happening with this weapon. So if you're practicing with a revolver, know how a revolver works. If you're practicing with a semi-automatic, know how a semi-automatic works. All right, George is going to come and join me. We're going to work a straight-on, typical hold-up position, starting in front. Now, this defense works from about an arm's distance up to a touch, all right? It works from chest, lower belly maybe, up to a head, and that's fine. Out of these positions, this technique changes, and it's not going to be the same, it's not going to be effective. Remember, we're working on action beats reaction. If I'm this far away, if I'm out of arm's reach, my action is going to be too slow and his reaction is going to win, okay? That's why we want to work from arm's distance away, so I can go ahead and reach. What we're going to do is we're actually going to work a couple little pressure points. They're really easy to activate, and it works on mechanical bases also. So if the pressure points don't activate real well, we still have a mechanical backup. We're going to bring our hand up underneath and we're going to grab onto the barrel. If I grab the barrel, I'm going to lock down the slide and we keep us from rechambering if it goes off. Now I'm not going to hold on center line, but I just want to show you this position. It's one motion up to here. I'm not doing anything else. I'm not stepping. That's a really common one. People like to step. That makes my motions bigger. It makes me easier to see. The easier I am to see, the faster he's going to react and shoot me. So I'm not going to step and take a big arm motion and grab. I'm going to bring my hand straight up and lock onto this. At the same time, I'm going to bring my other hand and I'm going to touch the inside of the wrist and start to push it in. Pressure points along here help release the wrist. When we push on this heart and this lung point, it's going to bend in. So I'm going to touch this. I'm going to actually sort of strike and slap it a little bit. At the same time, I'm going to turn the gun barrel to the side and we're going to do this. Now as the gun fires, the bullet's now going to miss me. Now this is where it becomes very important as to who you're with and what you're doing. If I'm with my family and someone is standing alongside of me, I have kids, a wife, friends, anybody sitting here, and I do this and the gun goes off, it doesn't do me any good if I shoot someone else, especially someone I care about or someone that's with me. I have to know what's going on, and technique might have to change. You might have to position yourself slightly so that all of a sudden they're behind me and now I'm acting as a shield, and then when I go ahead and do this, now I'm pointing at nothing, hopefully, all right? That's what you're looking for. The other alternatives is that when you do these, you can turn them up this way so the gun passes across you the whole time. You're more likely to get shot, but you're not going to hit someone else as easily. So that's what you're looking for. So as we do this, bring your hand up one motion to here and grab on nice and tight. You do not just want this to cycle around. The other hand comes in, touches the inside here, and then you're going to turn up and over. As I do this, I get to here, I bring it up, and I start to bring it down. Because the wrist is compromised, this is going to pop out. When this pops out, I bring it into my hand, I index it, I point it low, and I slide away. Do not walk because you do not want to trip and fall. Remember, you're going to slide, shuffle, whatever you want to call it. The gun is indexed and I'm pointing low. If for whatever reason I accidentally shoot, I don't want to accidentally shoot someone in the chest. I'd rather accidentally shoot the ground, all right? Or if I need to, his legs. And if I do feel I need to fire, remember, you're becoming the aggressor at that point, so liability-wise, you need to be very careful. But if you do fire, you're much better off to shoot down towards the legs instead of taking the life and shooting up into the body. So one more time. This comes up in front, my hands move, and they cross, grabbing the barrel, touching the wrist, bend it over, down, grab, draw back, slide, fingers index, pointing down and low and away. I'm going to do it once fast just so you can see. Now, like I said, this is a real weight gun, all right? And I need to be within arm's distance. I'm just going to move nice and quick. He's got a firm grip. He's not limp wrist in this. It's not just sitting here this way, all right? I'm going to bring my hands up. Pops out that quick, all right, and move away. Now, for whatever reason, if you started to wrestle with this, remember, watch the barrel, and you can do things like throwing kicks to the knees and the legs, and if you have a fight on your hands, which you do not want to fight for this weapon, because if I get into here and we're wrestling, this gun's going to start to go off. I need to lock this down. I need to finish into here. Now, if I start into here, it's pointing away, and that's good. Work your basics, headbutts, forearms, knee strikes, kicks, basic martial arts until you can loosen him up. Once he's stunned, you want him out on his feet. You want him a standing 8 count. Once he's out, then I can start to work a disarm again, all right? If it doesn't work, you always keep firing, hitting him until he is stunned, and that's what you need to do. Thanks, George. We're going to go ahead and grab the class, let everybody practice. Looking at gun defenses today. Now remember, all you're going to do is work something quick and easy. You do not want anything complicated when it comes to a gun defense. And you must always mind where that barrel is pointed. That is the most important thing. If you're looking for a kata for this, a lot of times you'll see our katas, they have a motion where you start here and they rotate. Other times you'll see hands that come up and they do quick switches. These type of quick moves where the hands are crossing over or turning fast are great spots in your forms that you can look for interpretations for these gun defenses, especially the one I'm doing today that involves the hands twisting over. If Caitlin's up and pointing at me in front, and one important thing to remember, when we're practicing, you practice with your finger on the outside of the trigger guard. If the finger's inside the trigger guard, and I do a disarm that turns the gun this way, fingers will break, at the very least they get hurt. Make sure when you practice the fingers out. Now it can be indexed along the side, or for practicing only, you can put it underneath and you can do all 4 fingers under the gun. And that's up to you, figure out what's comfortable and how you want to work that, but be very careful. It's easy to hurt your fingers when they're inside the trigger guard. Now, the idea of this is to have minimal reaction. The more I move, the more motions I make, the more likely this gun is to go off before I can get it free. I'm going to stand very still and bring this up and bring my hands across. You're grabbing the barrel, locking it down so it can't keep cycling. If this is a revolver, Scott's got a revolver here. If this is a revolver, the cylinder, I'm going to lock onto the cylinder so the cylinder cannot keep spinning, all right? It can't move another round into position of fire. I lock onto this. I touch the inside of these wrist points right here. I'm going to slap my hand against it, try and bend this in. I bend it in, I rotate it up, I bring it down, and we're going to move through. All right? Try it a little faster, see if it works. All right, we're going to come across this way. All right, now remember from here, I index it, I drop the gun low, and I slide back. All right, you do not want to walk back. Do not put your finger in here. Adrenal response, you will squeeze this trigger on accident. Keep your finger index on the side. Go ahead and give it a try. Now his wrist didn't bend. So you want the gun this way, straight, and you want to just get your own arm out of the way, touch inside of his wrist and bend it here. Now tip it up, and now drop it down. And see how he's starting to loosen up, and then just pull it out and free. Now from there, cover with your hand onto the handle, okay? Tip and point it low. Put your right foot back if you're right-handed, all right, and start to slide away. Put your right foot back. There you go, slide away. There you go, good. Now when you hold the gun button, just put your finger right here, okay? And your other hand sits right on the bottom of it, right in here, actually right across the front. All right, now remember when you do this, as you come across and you grab, you're gonna turn this over, bend it all the way. Now you wanna drop body weight and pull. And see that reaction you got there? Even if the gun doesn't pop loose right away, you start to get a wrist lock of sorts, and it hurts enough that they're gonna let go that way. Otherwise, they're gonna start to flip their body over themselves, which is okay too. All those will work to get loose. Typically, it's gonna pop right out, but if not, you want that pressure. By doing that, twist it, drop body weight, and bring it all the way through if it doesn't pop immediately. And you just make it one motion, whether it works or doesn't work. There you go, make sure you bend it all the way in. One thing I started to notice as you did this, when you move into here, the wrist didn't really bend that much and you started to turn this way. See how this is fairly straight? What I want to do is bend this all the way in. Now the strength of the wrist is compromised, which makes this a lot easier to do, okay? Also grab, instead of grabbing out in the very end, grab into here more. You have more weight of the gun, more of the mass lines up on this axis point in the center. All right, then touch and try and turn it straight this way when you do it. That's better, good, and he's locked up strong, and that's good, because you know they might be holding on really tight, and so it's worth practicing. Little strike and twist. All right, one thing everybody wants to be aware of as we walk around and watch, when you're doing this, some important things. One is make sure you don't stop your barrel turn too short. When I come in and do this, a lot of people are getting in such a hurry, they get to about this position, the wrist is barely bent, and then they start this motion, all right? Their attacker is still too strong. They're gonna be able to hold this unless this go ahead and turn all the way in. Now, what you can think about is turning this barrel back towards them. If I turn it this way, all right, now the wrist is severely compromised and I can go ahead and turn and drop. So especially as you start to go faster, if you're intending to turn it and point it, now I shortcut it and I'm about halfway through and I skip ahead. Well, at halfway, if I'm turning it all the way towards them, I've already compromised the wrist. If all I'm planning on doing is going 90 degrees and I shortcut it at a 45, that may not be far enough to actually make the technique. So make sure this turns all the way in. The next thing you want to be aware of is when you touch this wrist, a little touch doesn't always do it. I might get lucky and I might be able to literally do one finger and come around, but what I'm really gonna wanna do is I'm gonna strike this. Now, you could use a knife edge and come across. You could use a ridge hand thumb edge and come across. You could just use a hard palm heel and strike him, all right? You do wanna put a little bit of a strike on that wrist. You're hitting these 2 points on the inside and you're making this move. Now I tend to use my finger, but I use the bow and edge and I strike almost like a ridge hand type position, but a little bit higher up when I do it. But I strike and wrap and go ahead and twist. The other big thing as I watch, and big things to be important, or things to be aware of, no extra movement. That's very hard to do. Everybody loves to do this, and everybody does it. They like to reach in, hold it up for them, all right? Everybody wants to do this, and they want to come in on this, all right? This is the one time in martial arts that you don't advance all the time. You're gonna stand very still, and these motions are gonna happen without trying to move my shoulders, my body. All I'm gonna try and do is grab this, and I want this offline as fast as possible. So if this fires right now, I only have to miss by an inch. You know, an inch is as good as 10 feet. But I have to get this offline immediately, and the more motion I make, the more likely she is to fire first. So right to here, and then follow through and keep twisting and come down. Now remember, the one other important thing is your surroundings really matter when you're dealing with this situation. If we're in this position here, and these people exist in this situation, this no longer works. I'm fanning this gun across everybody here. If I was doing this and I was going to try and protect these people as I was doing this, I would end up having to turn this this way and come up and down, because now the gun comes across me, increases my danger, but it also protects these people. And remember, more importantly than anything, if you think you can get away with this situation by just handing them your wallet, giving them what they want, that's best, all right? You always have to trust your gut, trust your intuition on what's gonna happen in this situation, and go with that. But if you think you need to do the disarm, be aware of what's around you. It's very important. And above all, do not practice with real guns. It's not worth it to you or anybody else, all right? Buy a good fake gun. They sell them in most martial arts catalogs. You can find them. Practice safe and have fun.
For the past 10 years, brothers Don and Kurt Euler have run Extremely Sharp. The boys were looking for a way to work together and decided that combining their hobbies might make for an interesting business. Don's an avid outdoorsman and Kurt is a martial artist. It doesn't sound like a natural fit until you visit their site, then it all comes together. The company's mission is to provide the highest quality, affordable tools and weapons for training, recreation, skilled use, and everyday work activities. Now, Don and Kurt's hobbies might be different, but they require many of the same types of equipment like pocket knives, survival knives, multi-purpose tools, batons, staffs, and others. Both men have a strong interest in medieval swords and weapons featured in movies. Extremely Sharp's offerings have expanded to include hunting, fishing, and camping knives, fantasy swords, katanas, practice swords, and martial arts supplies. In addition, Extremely Sharp carries self-defense products including pepper spray, stun guns, handcuffs, and collapsible expandable batons for everyone from beginners to experts. Plus, there are many unique offerings such as crossbows, blowguns, and throwing stars. It's fun to browse the site and look at all the different offerings. Often, you'll run into something you don't really expect to see. Diving knives. Well, duh. This is a family business that focuses on the customer. A lot of places use shipping charges as a profit center. Not so with Extremely Sharp. They strive to keep shipping prices down. I was really taken with one product in particular, the Ruman hand-forged and folded katana. This thing is a real beauty. Any martial artist might appreciate this. I know I do. The real question is, can I get it in the house without my wife seeing it? If so, I'm home free, until I actually have to explain its presence, but by then it'll be mine. Look, don't take my word for it. Visit Extremely Sharp yourself and check it out. In fact, until the end of the month, all Martial Arts Explorer viewers will receive a 10% discount from Extremely Sharp, but only till the end of the month. In order to receive this special discount, click on the Extremely Sharp logo on the Martial Arts Explorer webpage at http://martialarts.thepodcastnetwork.com. Then enter the coupon code MAEXPLORER, all one word. I wouldn't waste any time if I were you. We first saw this technique demonstrated as part of a Systema demonstration. Systema is a mixed martial art practiced by Russian special forces. At that time, it was shown as a one-handed technique. Now, we found a problem with it if someone locked their wrist, so we added the strike to the inside of the wrist to ensure the joint would bend. We'd love to hear from you. Send all email anytime to explorer@martialartsexplorer.tv. For Martial Arts Explorer and Michael Kleinepier, I'm Scott Combs.